Well, despite financial pressures this holiday season, a new report shows that 80% of Canadians not only prefer to shop Canadian, but they're willing to pay a premium of 10% more. That's according to Boston Consulting Group Canada. Let's get more on this from Kathleen Polsinello, head of Boston Consulting Group Canada. Kathleen, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Roger.
So we haven't really seen a fade then of the shop Canadian, the elbows up, and we got to buy Canadian. People are still willing to do it.
That's right, Roger. At least for now, we're seeing a lot of different dynamics in the market this year, but that trend is continuing.
And where is the focus on that? Where are Canadians willing to say we're Canadian? Gosh darn it.
Well, it's very consistent with what we're seeing this time of year for how Canadians are shopping Black Friday and the holidays, which is in a few select categories. They're spending their money in apparel, electronics, and beauty. And in those categories, they're looking at really the non-discretionary type of spending. So things I need for the house, my family, versus things I'm splurging on. And that is also where they're buying Canadian.
And that's paying off for those companies. It's good to see putting the Maple Leaf on. I can't lie. I go shopping. I do look for the Maple Leaf and try and shop Canadian as much as I can. Now, I'm curious. 80% said they would be willing to spend a premium of 10%. Were there any Canadians that said they would spend more than that? Or are a lot of Canadians also having to make a decision that they have to spend what they have?
Yeah, it's a great question, Roger. I mean, I think the reality is that Canadians continue to be quite worried about inflation. For context on Canadian household finances, we still see 45% of Canadians, that's nearly half, that are less financially secure than last year. We see 1 in 3 households who wouldn't be able to cover their expenses for a month if their income stopped. And so we do have to remember that Canadians remain squeezed. And those dynamics, translate into a significant portion. In our research, we saw close to 90% of consumers say that rising prices for essentials are a major concern for them. 83% are worried about prices going higher. And so whilst they may say that they're willing to pay more, in the grand scheme of things, this macro anxiety is high in Canada, and it's higher than other markets that we survey around the world, including the U.S.
I bet it's a challenging time for a lot of people. Going back to the non-essentials for a second, though, did people say why they were hesitant to shop Canadian there? Where you didn't see the same numbers that you would see with the essentials?
No, I mean, the reality is this time of year, especially with the deals for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and as we go into the holidays, folks are very focused on those essential categories and getting deals on them. And it is a time of year for deals, right, Roger? What we're seeing is during Black Friday, consumers expect and are looking for at least 30% off from the retailers they're shopping at. And so it's a great time to buy those essential products.
And one of the things I was fascinated by was the percentage of people that are going to use AI to help do their shopping. It's really showing where AI is moving, how it's moving into the consumer realm now.
Sure is. I'd say that's probably one of the most interesting pieces of insight we generated in the report. For the first time, we see 40% of Canadian consumers using AI, and they're using it primarily to compare products and find value. And so it's a disciplined, data-driven consumer behavior. Now, of course, the reality is we still see use of Amazon. It's the #1 influence for purchase decisions, Google, YouTube, brand websites, and of course, in-store advertising and flyers. I mean, that is still the bulk of where folks get their information. Don't get me wrong. But AI is starting to impact the way people shop, and it's particularly true for Gen Z and millennials. They're up at about 50% of them using AI to shop.
The kids always leading the way, aren't they? And the parents are playing catch up with it. And is there all indicators that it looks like more people will be going that way as well, to turning to AI for help on this?
That's what we're seeing, and the reality is that we're also seeing our clients in retail starting to gear themselves up for that. For a long time, our retail clients were indeed and continue to focus on how they show up in a Google search, how they leverage social media. But now, it's critical that they also are working on how they show up in an AI context, and how it is that their websites are well geared to enable that search of their websites and the scraping that the AI models are doing to enable this consumer research.
Okay, Kathleen, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Roger.
Kathleen Polsinello is head of Boston Consulting Group, Canada.